really good practices, a lot of energy, a lot of tempo. Looks like it's going to be another fun team to coach. Good chemistry so far. Obviously got some things to clean up. You're in day 3 of installation. Had a couple of busts, but we'll get into film tomorrow and come out tomorrow with another tough physical practice. But overall, just like the chemistry.
How do you like your offensive line lineup this year, the placing Eric in the guard spot and things? Talk about that.
Obviously losing McClain from a player standpoint, ability standpoint, and also from a leadership standpoint, it's going to be tough to do. But obviously we feel very confident that Hearn can step in there right away. Obviously we just put the pads on today, so we'll get in, evaluate the film. We got 15 practices in the spring to determine that lineup. But excited about what Hearn brings with a little bit more size to him. But still, it's hard to replace McClain and his leadership.
Who do you look to in that leadership role?
You're gonna look to Jay. First and foremost, because I think obviously, McClain was the senior leader, but Jay was just as vital to our success last year, and just his renewed attitude. Coming back and joining the team, and I think he helped Mac. He helped all those guys, so he'll be the leader up front, and then Deshaun. And Wayne. So we got a lot of veteran guys, but we still got a lot of young guys too. And hopefully some of those young guys like Mitch, will step into a more vocal leadership role. He was a quiet leader last year and just played and didn't say much, but hopefully this year, because he has more confidence, he's proven with a lot of game snaps that he'll have a little bit more vocal leadership for us.
So is Taylor working as the first team left guard right now?
He started there at left guard for us. Yeah, and he's rotating, and Robbie's doing a good job of rotating those guys everywhere because, what we've learned in the past is we got to cross-train. So he'll start at left guard, but you may see him in there at right tackle, a little bit of left tackle, just making sure that we got depth at all of our positions.
How drastic is the difference in Jay from where he was at this time last year to where he is now?
A big difference. If you just go back and look at some of the pictures of before then, he was a lot heavier. So he's really taking care of his body since then. He's moving a lot better. He's got a lot of confidence. He's happy. He's smiling. One of the things that I think people overlook in leadership is sense of humor. And he's got an unbelievable sense of humor, and he's able to rally the troops. And that's the biggest thing that you see is that he's happy. He sets the tempo. He doesn't mind being vocal, but he's backing it up with his work as well. So it's not just talk.
Does Frew have a pretty good hold right now on first team right now?
So far so good. He's looked good. 2 days in shorts. It's hard to tell because you only have 2 days of installation. Then you go day 3, you put the pads on, and you got 3 days of installation in. But so far so good. Those guys are a fun group. We saw the changing of the mentality last year, and it's carrying forward. And the young guys kind of infused that change of mentality in our offensive line room. So we're really excited about his athleticism. And we'll look at the film. Haven't seen the film today. Practice is moving it fast, so you can't really see because you're trying to watch your own position. But we'll watch the film tonight and kind of see where he's at.
Is right guard to an extent picking up where you left off late last year when it didn't seem like there was one guy definitively?
Right. Still got a battle there between Maverick and Tyrone, and they're both pushing. And Robbie's doing a good job of giving them opportunity. Making it competitive, and that's what we want at every position. We want competitive depth. Same thing at running back. Obviously, Wayne's a proven guy, but I want to give those other guys an opportunity to go chase him down, so that he doesn't get complacent and he pushes to be the best that he can be. But those guys deserve an opportunity to compete, and we want competitive depth across the board at every position. So we would like that at every position, like we had at right guard. We got 2 guys at a battle, and you don't know which one until you get to the game is going to be the starter.
Is that sort of good as a coach to see, not just from the standpoint that you want competition, but to know that there's a legitimate competition, that you don't have to convince guys that somebody's on your heels or anything like that?
Oh, no question, because playing time is the biggest motivator for these young men. They all come here and they want to play. And the guys, obviously there's going to be some proven guys, but when you have an opportunity for guys to legitimately go out and compete every day, you get the best out of them. And again, as coaches, our job is to coach effort. And we don't want to coach effort as much, but just having a guy that can push you is one of the best things. Because it's tough when you got a proven guy and you don't have much depth behind him and trying to get him motivated on a daily basis. But when he sees guys nipping at his heels, he understands that I got to stay on my P's and Q's, and you get the best out of everybody in that situation.
Talk about having Mike Williams back in practice and what he's bringing back to the table now.
Just happy for him. Happy for him. You're talking about, one of the most violent games around and a neck injury. There was some question early on. You didn't know, what was the outcome, what was the extent of injury. But just to see him out there with a smile on his face, running around, and I think everybody knows what he's capable of as a player. But just happy for him and the leadership that he's going to bring to that wide receiver room. And he's got a renewed sense of urgency. Anytime the game is taken away from an athlete and you get it back, then it puts it in a different perspective. And just happy for him that he's back competing and he's competing. He's out there. Obviously, he's got a green jersey on, no contact on him, but he's still competing and sharpening his skills.
What have you seen out of your group of running backs during 3 days?
So far so good. They're all competing. C.J. Fuller is kind of picking up where he left off. Biggest thing with him is just the maturity of doing the right thing every day and everything that you do. I think we all know what he's capable of. Good to see Tyshawn, man. Tyshawn's moving around well. His confidence is up. And then having Adam Choice back, just getting him back to where he's confident in everything. I think as a runner, there's no question, that he has confidence there, but transition from quarterback to back and blitz pickup and those things, but I'm seeing a lot more confidence. He's taken to the technique. He's willing to put his face in there. Obviously, today's the first day we could do it full speed, but even in shorts, he showed that he had a willingness there. So I'm just excited about the group. They're very unselfish. Wayne, he's not content, he's not complacent. Those guys are pushing, so really like the competitive nature that they have right now.
That backup quarterback competition, what have you seen from Tucker Israel so far?
Tucker really changed his body. He's back looking good, throwing the ball well. Obviously, we'll get in there and see with live bullets coming at him, see how it looks. Didn't see anything that I didn't like today, but again, we'll get it on the film here after practice and really get an assessment there.
In terms of wideout, it seems like you got some guys, especially the second group, the skill sets that can mix and match a little bit. How much is that a priority for you at all, trying to have guys like Trevion and Ray and Dion and guys like that?
Well, 15 games is a long season, and that's the expectation around here is to play, well into January, and injuries are part of the game. So you got to have those guys that are ready to play. And again, we talked about the competitive depth earlier. It just brings out the best. And Trevion was one of the best guys in camp last year, and so he's kind of picking up where he left off, still pushing. So it's good to have that versatility, and then you're gonna need all those guys, to step up. And with Deshaun's ability to distribute the ball, it just makes us tougher to defend because you got guys at every spot, that are capable. That you're not just locked in on one guy to make a play.
Any of the new guys, the freshmen, come in and impress you in the first 3 days?
Both of the tackles are moving well. Pollard and Ankrum, they move well, very competitive. You can tell that they come from very good high school programs, very well coached, very fundamentally sound. Anxious to see, what the film looks like, because obviously you're rolling those guys. They're playing in and out with different groups, so you don't get to study them as much until you get on the film. But very excited with their athleticism, the way that they move. They're showing competitive toughness. They jumped in mat drills, and didn't look like freshmen. They were running around ready for the show. So really excited about those guys.
How much does it help when you've got freshmen offensive line get started and try to get over the hurdle?
We don't make the run last year without Mitch Hyatt. He was a guy that came in and got his nose bloodied in the spring, and by the time that he was ready to kick off that first game, he was tired of blocking Shaq Lawson, so he was ready for the show, as a freshman. Now he was a guy that was a little bit more advanced than some of your freshmen, but just getting those guys here and getting them acclimated to class, so the first time that they're not going to class playing football is in the fall. They do it through the spring. They're competing at a high level. They get 15 practices of install, then they get all summer to come back out and go back through the install. So by the time we kick off fall camp, they're not freshmen. They're almost like redshirt freshmen.
How much of a luxury is it for you as a coach to have so many returning starters on the offensive side of a ball as you're going through spring practice?
I don't know if that's a luxury, because there's going to be a lot of expectation with that. But it's good to have that competitive depth. So you got that leadership, and when you got so many young guys, we got a lot of returning stars, but majority of our roster, are freshmen and sophomores. So it's good to have those guys to teach the young guys what's the expectation of practice. How do you prepare? Week in and week out. So that's more the luxury there of those guys being able to teach the younger guys. And y'all asked the question about the freshmen, man. Them defensive guys are studs. That's all I know.
Going off that last question, what about Jordan Leggett and the leadership he offers going into this season? He seemed to have really matured in the last couple of years. Last year was a big year for him, and he's come back,
No question. And obviously he had a decision that he had to make, and proud of the decision that he made, thinking about the big picture, being able to come back and get his degree, and then also, hone his skills and prepare for that next level, because there's no question that he'll play on the next level. But just seeing how he's matured, he's still not an overly vocal guy, but you're seeing that his practice habits, are leadership quality. He's taking ownership, and he's really taking those young, we call them 3-backs, or those young tight ends under his wing, and really trying to help those guys develop, and not just by talking to them, but showing them how to practice.
How's Ray McLeod looked coming off of the injury?
He's pushing. He's pushing, and obviously that was a severe injury, but he's pushing every day, competing. Still wearing a brace just to protect himself, out there at practice. But haven't seen anything, that's slowing him down. We just got to be mindful that it's going to take him a little bit of time until he's back to anytime you're dealing with a knee, especially what he had. It's going to take him a little time to get completely healthy.
Any guys through 3 days shown that they're ready to step up in the return game?
You know, it's hard because it's really just been mostly drill work. You know, we'll have opportunities later in spring to put it all together. But, you know, Ray is a guy that jumps out to you first and foremost because he did it in high school and he's such an electric athlete. And, you know, he showed flashes last year. So keeping him healthy and getting him to the point where he's confident back there, catching punch, catching kickoff returns. You know, he's a guy. You know, I think Tay obviously had the need to, so he was hampered a little bit. And, you know, like to get Fuller going, you know, back there on the back end, you know, give Adam Choice an opportunity, and even Tyshawn did it. So just seeing can those guys, you know, handle catching the ball once we get into live situations.
How challenging is it to manage those expectations and keep this team focused, make them realize that to get back to where they were last year, they have to work just as hard this year? You
know, I think just reminding them, and we don't have to do it as much as coaches, but they remind themselves of that feeling that we had, you know, down in Arizona after that game, knowing how close we are. So they got a lot of motivation there, you know. And the biggest thing is understanding what got us, you know, to where we were last year, and it wasn't anything outside of what we preach every day. You know, you got to stay humble, you got to give effort with technique, and all-in commitment to being your best on and off the field. And Coach Sweeney does an unbelievable job of making sure that everybody in the program stays grounded, you know, focuses on the core, you know, the core fundamentals of our program, and just remind these guys that it's effort, intensity, and aggressiveness every day.